Group calendars are a very good way to keep your students up to date on things like project deadlines. To go to the calendar, simply click the calendar link at the top of the group page. Now when the calendar loads, you'll immediately see that it also contains your calendar events from your personal calendar. And it's worth knowing that the other people in the group can't see your personal calendar. It's only the group calendar that they will see. And I can show you this by going to my test user. Now you can see that my test user has 3 events that he's set for this month. And he can't see my events from my personal calendar, and also I can't see his events either. But what we can both see are these events shown in green, and we can see by this key up at the top that those are events to do with the group. And so we can both see the group events along with our own personal calendars as well. And if you don't want to see your personal calendar at the same time as the group calendar, you can simply click the little close button here and those events will disappear. Now that we've got that settled, we need to add an event to the calendar. And so to do that, I choose the date, and I'm going to choose the night before the mock exam, and double click. When the details come up, we have to type in the title for the event and then choose any other details we want to. But I want to concentrate on one area right now, which is the area saying Save to Calendar. This has chosen my personal calendar by default, not the group calendar. So I need to click the down arrow and choose the group calendar instead. Otherwise, the event that I make won't be visible to the other members of the group. And I'm going to add a simple reminder. Since it's getting close to the exam, I'll say final reminder. Revise for exam. And since it's getting quite close to the deadline, I'm going to say if they haven't started revising by the Sunday evening, they're going to have to put in a fairly brutal 5 hours of revision to make sure that they're prepared for the exam. I can set things like repetition, I can set it to show as busy, I can set reminders, I can put in a message, but this isn't a real reminder. So I'm just going to leave all of those things as they are. But there's also another important box here. This tick box allows you to send an invitation to the group. Now, a lot of the time, it doesn't make a lot of sense to invite people to attend things. We're working in a school, not in a large office building, and most of the time when you interact with your students, it's because they're timetabled to show up at your classroom. So sending an invitation to remind them to go to a place or to do something often doesn't make sense. We tend to use the calendar more as a reference so that students can look things up, rather than as an active thing where they're getting reminders and where they're getting emails and things like that inviting them to things. So a lot of the time, it just doesn't make sense to tick this box. So I'm going to untick it, and I recommend that most of the time you untick it as well. Now once we're sure of what we want to do for our event, just click Save. And you'll notice that the event appears on my calendar, but it also appears on the calendar for my test user. Now if I briefly go to the conversations for my test user, you'll see what happens if you tick that box that I said about before. In this case, I had a research deadline that I sent out to the entire group. And by ticking that box, every member of the group saw this reminder and had the option to add that event to their personal calendar. Now don't forget, this is to add it to the personal calendar and that the event was already on the group calendar. Like I said, it doesn't make sense a lot of the time to do this sort of thing, but it does give you another option if you want to specifically invite people to respond as to whether they're going to be attending an event or not. But nonetheless, the group calendar is very useful for just making sure that people are up to date with things and just making sure that they know when their deadlines are approaching.